So this is our last official meeting of the year. We do have one other event. That would be the annual dinner in December. David, did you want to talk about that a little bit? I got an email from Gwen saying that you were going
Sure,
to charge of that.
sure. Um, yeah, the dinner is coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
As of
December
yesterday,
13th.
the 13th, yeah. As of yesterday, Gwen had indicated that only about a dozen people had signed up. And Ron, I don't know if you have an update on that or not, but I guess the message is please sign up if you're at all interested in attending. We do have some, I think, significant others or guests who are also on the list, but we want to make sure that every member who wants to attend, registers before the deadline that Gwen had set, which I think was the 8th. So, please, if you're interested in attending, email Gwen, and also, through Zelle, you can send your dinner fee to Ron, and he'll mark you off. In the email to Gwen, you'll need to indicate what you want as an entree. I think there were 4 choices.
Excuse me, David. Just so you know, I just popped in the chat and dropped a PDF in there, which
Oh,
is
okay.
basically a copy of the email that I originally sent. So if anybody wants to go and grab that PDF, you'll have the information you need about the event, time, place, the menu, etc. And contacting Gwen, her information's in there too.
Great. Thanks,
That,
Carl.
and I
Yep.
will be sending a reminder email on Saturday to the whole gang because obviously not everybody's here.
Right. And then the other thing is, if anyone has signed up and is planning to attend, obviously, if you have any winter scene pictures that you would like to contribute to the slideshow, please forward those to me, just a JPEG. They can be of Antarctica, Oz, or snow scenes anywhere else in the world. So please forward those. And that's it. Any questions?
I would just say that just so everybody can have a simple email to remember, vice president at focuscolorado.com will get stuff to David.
Correct. All right. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, sir. I will also mention that, we are still on the hunt for a few positions to help run the club in 2024. We do have a number of them nailed down, but we still need some really important ones like a president and a membership chair and a treasurer and somebody to replace Bill Williams at Lone Tree to open up the place and run the computer there. And I suppose that we can stumble along in the next year, but it would be much better if we had those positions filled, if we had a captain of the ship, if we had somebody to handle sending out checks to presenters and to judges, to have somebody who was, actively pursuing new members, and most importantly, somebody to open up Lone Tree and get the meetings going there. Because if we don't have somebody to do that, then there's possibility we'll go Zoom only. And I hate to see that. We really enjoy getting together in person, that camaraderie, that connection, that personal relationship. So again, I'll be putting out an email to everybody about this, but if any of you, who have not spent the last couple of years occupying some of the positions around, uh, would be willing to volunteer your time and knowledge for 2024 in any of those 4 positions I mentioned, please shoot me an email. You can reply to the email that I sent about this meeting, or anything to president at focuscolorado.com. That'll get to me too. And yes, David, I understand that you're willing to help out with the Lone Tree stuff, but we still need somebody else to make sure that we're covered for all the times when you're not available. I appreciate that.
Okay, no problem.
I'm not seeing any guests here, unless I'm missing somebody. I'm not seeing the people that I sent emails to invite. So our competition this evening is square crop. Pretty simple in concept. 1-to-1 ratio. You know, like the definition said, subject can be anything that you like, but your square composition needs to be on point. In the last newsletter, I did list out a couple of tutorials and videos to help people with square crops. And from the images that we got, I see that some people took that advice to heart. We got some nice images. I think a lot of us know Jeff Johnson, our judge this evening. Jeff has been with us a number of times over the years. He's a good friend of the club, has done presentations for us, has judged for us, um, did a live class on macro photography many moons ago. We appreciate you being here, Jeff, and being available.
Absolutely. Thanks for asking me, and thanks for being patient with me last time I was supposed to help.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. We got, Cliff was good enough to jump in, and basically you guys switched spots on the judge list for the year for the different months. We appreciate it. So, a little about Jeff if you don't know him. His titles are Master Photographer, Artist, Educator, and Chief Instigator. Admittedly, these are self-inflicted titles. However, Jeff has earned the Master Photography degree from the Professional Photographers of America, and this can only be achieved with high-quality imagery and an intense and long-term participation in the industry. In his 40 years as a professional, Jeff has always been one to share exciting ideas and techniques. It only then makes sense to offer consultations, programs, and workshops, which create a vehicle where he can share the knowledge he has accumulated over many rewarding years and hopefully educate photographers everywhere. Chief Instigator. This is an interesting tag. As you may imagine, Jeff has had his fair share of teasing and abuse over this one. A lot of folks, it means troublemaker, which, if you know him, isn't really that far off. But if you look it up, it means one who urges or provokes action or course to instigate the people to photograph. Now, that's exactly what Jeff likes to do. So, Jeff, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Thank you. Yeah, the only difference there is it's actually, I think I gave you an old copy. It's actually up to 47 years I've been doing this now. So
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you, I guess. I don't know, maybe I don't know better by now, but one other, if I may share this fun thing, one other endeavor that I started here this year with both my good buddies, Rick Avalos and your old dear friend Cliff Lawson there. We started this little, basically it's like a podcast called the Image, the Image, what the hell's the name of the show, Cliff? The Image Critique Show.
Yes.
It's so important to me, I can't remember the title. The fourth Thursday of every month, we have a basically it's a conversation, if you will. We have folks submitting images. There's no competition, and we bring in a special guest, and we all take turns just kind of talking about the images. So it's all about education, and it's free to join. So, and it's usually the fourth Thursday, which would be Thanksgiving, but this week, this month, it's next Thursday night. theimagecritiqueshow.com. Please log in. Link is right on the homepage, and I'd love to have you just sit and listen and laugh with us. And Cliff keeps us laughing the whole time, so
it's really worth your time to join the Image Critique Show. I think you guys would enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Anyways, I'll get enough of my soapbox.
Okay.
Let's get back to why we're here.
All right, well, yeah, I just dropped a link for that website in the chat. So if anybody wants to go take a visit over there or bookmark it, please feel free to do so. And you have recordings of previous ones on there also.
Yeah, we started this back in March as our first show, and we have all of the shows are recorded and they're on that site as well, so you can sit and listen. They're about 2-hour shows, but we have just really great feedback, a lot of imagery. Actually, I'm happy to say several of the folks who submitted images to learn along the way submitted a finished version, we'll call it, at our Colorado State Convention here last month, and some of them did very well. So not necessarily patting myself on the back. I'm just saying it's an educational opportunity, and some people have learned very well from it. So it's very cool. I also just in the chat box, I just dropped in a document for you, a PDF called the 12 Elements of Design. And this is kind of what I've learned to use in my judging skills as to how I look at photographs. So if you're looking for something that we kind of base our decisions and our comments on, it's going to be off that document, the 12 Elements of Design. So have at it.
Right. And this 12 elements of design, this is something that you came up with, but is it based on the PPA's 12 elements of a mirror image?
It is, yeah. It's that's what the list is right there. It's PPA's 12 Elements of a Mirrored Image.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Hey, Jeff, somebody did ask earlier, but I'm not sure we got a straight answer. You look like you're about half the man you used to be.
Yeah, I've had a couple of health issues this year, and one of my goals was to lose some weight, and I've actually dropped almost 50 pounds this year since spring. So I've really paid attention to my health more than ever, and it was starting to be a problem. And I got plans to keep doing the soul road trips for another 35 years. So we're not done, you know. It's so yes, thanks for noticing. I appreciate that. I do feel much better too. So
You just don't take people to the nicest restaurants anymore.
that's going to be a problem, Cliff. It's all my eating out that's been a problem, and it's not like we're going to McDonald's all the time.
Right.
It's just the fact that it's eating out. So, anyways.
Okay. All right. Well, we're all glad that you're healthy and happy, and you look fantastic.
Well, thanks. And thanks, Todd, for bringing that up. I appreciate that. So.
All right. So, like I said, competition to square crowd. We've got 34 images to go through, so this will not be the longest judging session that we've ever had. So Bob is going to show the images. I will announce the title. Then Jeff, you'll give your commentary and score, and we'll proceed on and on. When we've gathered a number of 9 and 10 scores, we'll pause for a bit, talk to the image makers, get their input on their images and such, and carry on. So
Sounds
are we
good.
all ready? And this is our calibration image because Zoom messes stuff up too often. So we just show this, if you're looking at it and you see it's maybe a little flat, a little low contrast, just know that all the other images you'll be looking at this evening will also appear that way slightly. So, okay, if we're all ready, let's get our first image up.
All set.
This is, and before I go on, everybody please mute so that we don't interrupt Jeff and we don't have any sneezes, coughs, or barking dogs in the background interrupting. Thank you. So this is surveying the land.
First off, this does work well in the crop. Sometimes we see the square crop and the image doesn't quite go with it, but this is a nice rendition. Good tones, good exposure throughout, nice detail in the whites and the blacks. Nice placement. Yeah, if I'm being real picky, it might be a little bit large for the scene. Although it's not too bad. It's just I maybe would like to see the bird just a tiny bit smaller, but you know, it's just being a little nitpicky. I am looking at this first where the gray and the black, the gray wing overlaps the black, the real fine feathers there. That's nice and sharp, but I feel like we're losing sharpness just back in the eye, just a little bit. So because of this, I'll give this an 8. Great capture though. Nice profile.
Okay, Jeff, did you download the images, the review images I sent you?
I did not.
Because sharpness is an issue we have with Zoom all the time, and that's part of the reason that we do those, sending the judge the review images. And a lot of times the judge will have those available as they're looking on Zoom. They can flip over to, the actual image, get an idea what it looks like. Is it possible for you to take a minute or two and download those?
I sure can, and not to disagree with you, but I can clearly see that there is definitely sharpness in this front wing and not on the eye. So that opinion isn't going to change, but I sure can. So, well, yeah, there definitely is a difference. And again, just being real picky, which I think is what helps. There's very nice sharpness throughout the bird, but it is definitely ever so slight soft in the eye compared to the front of the bird. So yeah, I'll back off my statement a little bit. But there still is just a little bit of an issue there with that to give it that score for an 8. But I will look. You read the title and I'll pull them up here because it is definitely a difference. So thank you for reminding me of that.
So you're sticking with an 8?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, next image is Welcome to Cuba.
Fun image. Definitely a reminiscence of when I was down there. Very cool, fun. Definitely everybody who drives a taxi down there has that kind of expression, so I can definitely verify that. Really great story here. Nice fun. A lot of nice brightness, good expression. Just a really good story overall. I'll give this one an 8 as well.
Looking at You.
Really nice capture here. These guys are so adorable, I think. Just nice, crisp. Matter of fact, I think we can even see the photographers in the reflection of the eye. So that's showing some very nice crispness, nice capture. Nice tonal rendition throughout. Very soft tones in almost in the black and white tones of the white and the black. Fits nice in this this format. The green's very complementary. Minor little thing, that little white stroke up or a streak up in the top right of center, just things like that. Just watch for that. But I mean, otherwise, I think it's done very well. So I'll give this one a 9.
Three Old Boats.
I love this almost eclectic kind of a feel. We've got some great technically it's handled very well. It's a beautiful tonal range throughout from the whites to blacks. There's detail on the blacks, there's detail on the whites. Of course, the square. Hang on, I gotta flip the light off here. It's in my face. Yeah, that's better. The square is just delicious on this one, of course. Really nice at how we move around. The white edge of the boats allow us to kind of move around the boat and then explore down into the seats and the floor of the boats. As I mentioned, it's all very sharp, good exposure, wonderful composition. I definitely give this one a 10. Nice work here. Picture that as a 40-inch square in somebody's office wall. That would be very cool.
Handle carefully.
Boy, no kidding. Again, nice, powerful composition using a large image with inside this square instead of just a small. I think really makes a statement here. Very crisp throughout. Yeah, I'm not sure what more to say about it. It's just there. It's kind of in your face. It's definitely asking for attention. So that impact is good. The composition's strong. A lot of times when you put something right in the middle like this, or at least a central kind of a thing, it can get a little bit static after a moment, but that's why I hesitated, because it's not. It's done very well. I'll give this one a 9. Very nicely done.
Still Life with Pepper.
Nice tonal range throughout. I like the tone of the pepper. Probably looks like it was maybe an orange or a yellow pepper to go to this tone of gray. Nice and crisp. Again, this is one of these things that with Zoom in digital online judging, I'm seeing a magenta and a green cast into the shadows. It's just one of those things. I'm not going to hold that down in the score, but I will, if it is there to the maker, just look for those things, because this will happen in black and white. But nice little, I like the petals leading in to the scene of the flowers, then the pepper. But I'll give this an 8, good strong 8.
The Look and the Lean.
Nice title. Great photojournalism here. Good storytelling, and the low camera angle makes the guys a little more powerful. They're in the middle of their day. I kind of like the juxtaposition of the two of them. They're looking different directions. It gives us, what's he doing over here? What's he looking at over here? Really strong. I think it's just really interesting. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I feel good tones throughout. Yeah, I'll give this one a 9. This has the more I look at the story, is just really compelling. It's one of those that makes you feel like you're standing right there. Nice work.
Passages.
Good title, and it connotates a great story here. I'm definitely a lover of old gravestones, so this speaks to me well. Good color throughout. It might be just a tiny bit too saturated. I mean, tiny bit, because greens can go effervescent quickly. But I think the story is definitely there. So I'll give this one an 8.
Border dress.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to figure out what you were saying there, but I get it now.
Yeah, yeah. I debated whether or not to spell it out, but yes,
Yeah. No, I get it now. Yeah.
BOARDER. Yeah.
Interesting, huh? To see this kind of outfit on a board. But first off, we have just a really nice story, good flow, movement, I should say. Obviously, her dress flowing, but just it shows movement. Nice details that we haven't lost the board against the gray of the tunnel there. Goes into the shadow. The only thing that's holding me back a little bit is just we've lost her face. Yeah, that's kind of something that helps bring the story up a little bit, but I think a nice capture otherwise, and it fits in this format nicely. So I'll give it an 8. The upper right corner is a little bit busy.
Rusty hinge.
Kind of how I feel these days. Love this kind of thing. It's just very taking the eclectic, the stuff we walk by every day, and just recording that, and it's done very well. The tones through. I'd love to see a little bit more contrast, and it's a little flat, but it's got great colors throughout. Nice placement, good tones. I'll give this one an 8 as well.
Left door.
Yeah, the title gives you something to think about. Just kind of throws some ideas, which I always like when you have a good title that helps tell a story, even if it's not a full story. It lets us kind of conjure up our own stories, and so that's kind of cool. Overall, the contrast range is in the tonal range is very flat. I'd like to see a little bit more punch in it. We've lost some detail in the shadows. So I'll give this a 7 because of that.
It's canal reflection.
Wow, that's some calm water, isn't it? Just wonderful leading lines here coming from the building and the brick wall, the bottom corner of the reflection, the top corner of the building takes us right on through the scene nicely. Good reflection, good tones, keeping the sky in there just nicely. Good job there. Sometimes we get an image that there's not a specific focal point, and sometimes it's okay. I'm kind of getting lost in it is all. I mean, wandering around the scene's not bad, but like a lot of times we want to give our viewer a place to go, but then a place to to wander around the scene, and a place to come back to. And I am wandering around seeing it's nicely done. I'm just missing that comfortable feeling of where does the photographer want me to rest my eyes. So because of this, I'm going to give this a 7.
Snug as a bug.
Good little story here. Definitely all snug, and tough one here with all the white fur. It's hard to get detail in it, but you sure have it all the way through. Nicely done, not any blown out areas. The cute little pose that the dog is in, I'm sure you didn't do that. I'm sure that was a good capture by just not witnessing it. There's a vignette which I love vignettes. I think they help, but it's just cutting into the dog's head on the top up there a little bit. So it just kind of goes towards the excellence of the image. So because of that, I'm gonna give this a 7.
Parallel parking.
Nice line of movement from the left boat all the way into the middle. It allows us to go down the canal and see the boat with the gondolier on there, and of course all the beautiful colors of the buildings. But then we come back to these boats, so this has got a really nice presentation, good impact. I'll give this one an 8.
Organic Falls.
Again, just another very strong image. I like having the waterfall in the center this time. It does hold up nicely. Good strength there. We got a nice composition with the little viewing platform down the bottom right, the trees on the left that kind of help serve as a natural vignette. I do feel like the image has a strong yellowy green overcast. I mean, obviously we have greens and yellows in the trees and the moss on the rocks and the water, but the water itself, I feel like there's a green cast to it. And I think if it was just adjusted a little bit, it could really have a snap, because I'm seeing a very green cyan in the shadows. But having said all that, the composition strong, story's great. One thing I will mention just on titles is probably the reason even I stumbled on it is sometimes when you give a title, if it's something that I know it's a name of a title, a name of a place, but sometimes that makes it hard to pick up for the judge to jump in and grab it. Sometimes I mean, maybe the name of the place, but sometimes something more colorful can help tell the story a little bit more. I'll give this an 8. I don't think I said that, but I will give it an 8.
Boys in Blue and One Girl Too.
You know, a lot of times, I think this is awesome. I love that there's just a little bit of a tip instead of the planes going straight across, because sometimes horizontal and vertical lines are very strong. Sometimes they can be overpowering, and I think this little bit of tilt to the aircraft give us just a little bit more of a free action here. And a lot of times when you get clouds in the background, they tend to take away, but this just really works well here because it's just a unique and interesting cloud formation. I think the overall how you've handled the processing is really unique. Yeah, no, so I think overall this has just got a very strong story, good composition, good movement throughout. The color harmony is strong. I'm going to give this one a 10. I think it's very well done.
And this is Delicate Arch in Old Postcard Color. And Bob, we can stop after this one and talk to the 9s and 10s that we've had so far. We're about halfway through right now.
Delicate Arch, Old Postcard Color. That's a great title. It definitely has that feeling of the 1950s postcards, the vacation spot postcards. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, it's enough of a job to get up to that arch and then to get there with harsher lighting like this, but you've handled it very well. Yeah, it's just really nice presentation, good story, and I'll give it an 8.
Okay, so we've got, by my count, 5 9s and 10s so far. And this first one, Looking at You, is from John Mumford. I don't see John on this evening.
Is that what you're going to let them talk about their images? Is that the idea?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Cool.
So the notes that he left on this was puffin taken on McKenes Island in the Faroe Islands.
Yeah.
I really like that image. I love that little dot of water around the top of his head.
Well, it really shows all the water beating up on its back. It really shows what these birds, these things dive more than they fly. It's pretty cool. Yeah, very nice portrait of a bird.
Three Old Boats. This is from Dan Greenberg.
Oh, sorry about that. I was muted. I thought it wasn't. Jeff, thank you very much for the great comments. This was one that I took a long time ago. This is a 16-year-old picture that I took, obviously in color, in Rockport, Massachusetts. And Rockport, Massachusetts, if you've ever been there, has lots of boats and lots of cool stuff like this, maritime type stuff to take pictures of. Originally, this picture was because it was taken on a D70, so obviously it was just a 1.5 normal crop. And it was red, white, and blue. One boat's white, one's light blue, and one's red. And I just thought, it had good tones, so I figured I'd give it a shot in black and white, and here you are.
No, you handle it real well, Dan. I like that. You know, I love black and white, and I think sometimes we lose shadow details and such, but man, you nailed it. The whole zone system is represented here. Good job.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. Handle carefully is from Gwen Patton, and Gwen's not here. She's traveling. She said this photo was taken in the Jeffco Open Space Park near my home. It's nice to spot that as you're just wandering by and getting down low enough to get the image.
Well, I really like the shallow depth of focus too. That's kind of my favorite thing. So really let those front petals and the pricklies really stand out compared to the rest of the background or even the stem. So nicely done.
Yeah, it's a nice difference between sharp and soft.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So the look and the lean, this is from Kyle Derlam.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate your comments too.
Sure.
Yeah, this was shot in May of this year up in Portland, Oregon, just with a small camera that I can hold in my hand. It doesn't even have a viewfinder, and I can just keep my finger on the shutter and click it whenever I feel like it's appropriate. Some guys who do street really like to look for those moments where they can get eye contact, and I like to keep my stuff a little bit more candid, so I don't need that eye contact, in my opinion. So if I can kind of keep the camera, make it not so obvious that I'm carrying one, seems to work out well.
Are you holding the camera up to your eyes shooting, or are you just shooting waist level kind of stuff?
No, just waist level.
Very cool. I really like that. Good job.
Yes, there's a lot of crop, but yeah.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a very nice image. You know, shooting from the hip can always be a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's something you really like and you miss it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, oh, let's cut something off. Oh, it's totally wonky, but sometimes you can fix something. It was a really good image.
Yeah.
This Boys in Blue and One Girl Two is from Todd Lytle.
Thanks, Jeff.
Oh yeah.
I've traveled some great distances to photograph both the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds and go to air shows, but this one was last month in Grand Junction. So that was nice to have something pretty close by. The title, Boys in Blue and One Girl Two, is a reference to the fact that for the first time in U.S. Navy, Marine Corps, fighter demonstration pilot history, a woman is manning. Huh.
That's right. It's a verb.
A woman is a badass pilot, is what I meant to say.
Okay.
Her name's Lieutenant Commander Amanda Lee, first woman to pilot in the demo for the Blue Angels. She's in the number 3 plane, which you can't see the numbers on these because of the angle, but it's actually the first one left of center to the top. And those planes are all, that's a newer plane for the Blue Angels. They've only been flying them about 2 or 3 years. If you're interested in that sort of thing, it's a FA 18 Super Hornet. They went from Hornets to Super Hornets during COVID.
Very cool.
That's it.
Nice capture.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's a really stunning image. That's excellent. Okay, back to the show. This is Art in Wood.
I always love when folks see, as I put it, the stuff that we walk right by every day. This is very typical of that kind of thing. Look at the beautiful pattern. We have the circular pattern of the years, the rings of the tree, and then the cracks in there. Just a lot of nice movement. We still have a nice focal point at the center of the core there, the heart of the tree. But it lets us move around by both the circles and the cracks. It's interesting. The cracks also look like they're burned, but still, just really nicely done. I think this is, again, one of those I always kind of look at it. Can I see this hanging in somebody's office as a 40-inch metal print or something like that? I think it definitely could be very impressive piece of art. I'll give this a 9.
Aloha.
Nice story. I love that we have this lady is nice and sharp, and her accompaniment behind her is soft. Gives us a nice depth of field. Add a little bit of an action shot here. Good tonal range throughout. The square crop works real nice for this. I'll give this one an 8.
The Hogan Under the Stars.
Took me a second to get the perspective on it, especially the whole. It's when you look at it, you figure out what it is, but for just a second, you can't quite decide if that's something plastered on the roof of the arch or if it's you're looking through it. It's very, very cool. It creates such a great dimensionality here. Nice sharpness and tonal range throughout the rocks. And then we have this whole other plane up there of the sky and the stars. It's just really nice story, nice composition, great depth. Square format works real nice in this one. I'm going to give this one a 10. I think it's just my compliments mostly to your eye for catching this. Good job.
These look yummy.
I love your titling, guys. Good stuff. Well, very nice. You know, the one thing that I always look for, like we talk about the elements of design there, impact is that first one. And a lot of impact can be what we call either fleeting or lasting. And when it's lasting, that's what really is awesome. And this definitely has it. There's such a dimension here, such a quality of depth. It is just beautifully crisp and sharp through the beak and the eye and down through the body, and it starts just a little bit of softness in the tail, which is fine because our attention keeps coming right back to the eye, the flowers. I look at the angles. We get a nice triangle going on here, going up through the flower, down through the bird, and back to the base of the flower again. Color is very nice. Sometimes we get that background that's tough. This is a gorgeous background, simple as it is. Definitely going to give this one a 10. Very nicely done. Good capture. And I don't mind.
Oops, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just one more thought. And a lot of times the conversation comes up on birds, especially in hummingbirds and things. I don't mind personally if the wings are just a little soft. I mean, what's the speed of those things anyhow? It's when the rest of the important part of the bird for this picture is sharp. So I think this is a beautiful piece. Okay.
Hovering a while.
Hopefully. Nice story. The title really helps tell what's going on here. It kind of makes you look and go, oh gosh, I hope they are hovering just enough to not have to swim home. Again, good story. I like the placement just off center. It gives us, because the one guy actually just simply because he's looking to our right, camera right, it gives us some motion that they're going that way. So it just keeps the scene from being stagnant. Yeah, nice story, nice capture. I'll give this an 8.
Very secure.
Tough range to capture with the brightness. You've got great detail in the whites. I see plenty of detail in the shadows, just enough to have it not be black holes. Even on that space between the boards, you can just see the side of the board there, the docking. It's really done nicely. Just again, another very simple capture subject that, again, most people are going to pass by, but you've done a nice job. I like that you've given us a little bit of some angles here with the rope coming out of the left corner. You've got the heavy rope coming down the top, so it anchors it that way, like it's holding it in place. So very nicely done. I'll give this a 9.
Pink goggles.
Another good story. Obviously, with the pink, we go right to it, so that's a good focal point. But the overall composition is very strong with the edge of the pool coming in the corner, leaving us at the top corner, allows us to wander around. The rest of the scene is all really pretty subtle colors, except we have the pink standing out. So nice placement. If you want to talk about rule of thirds, it's kind of on that lower left point. So I think this is just another fine capture. And a lot of times I see this as what I like to talk about and call pre-visualization, that you would just see this and think there's a photograph there, and then to go into this composition. So I think I definitely got to reward you with a 10 on this one. Just very well done for as simple and unassuming of a subject this is. Nice job.
Holy matrimony, Batman.
I think it's the expression on the guy on the left that really makes this whole thing here. Nice story. It's kind of interesting. We have this, obviously, this lovely day of this couple getting married, or they're heading to get married, probably going up the steps to get married. And then we have this guy who is questioning life, questioning marriage, questioning the whole thing. But we have the railing that's dividing their stories. I think that's pretty cool right there. I'll give the maker credit that they knew what they were doing, right? No, I think that makes the story just very workable here. And the more I look at it, technically it's done well. We got a little blowout in the highlights of the bride's dress around her hip and the what she's carrying. So yeah, but minor detail throughout, interesting story, very well told. I'll give this one a 10. I think it's just lovely. This guy's expression is crack up.
Fountain Lunch.
Well, again, I have to say your titling and your storytelling, gang, is outstanding. Just it conjures up these two ladies sitting there enjoying their office break or the day out off and whatever, and having the lunch, whatever it is they're doing there is just gives us that story. Nice placement. They're not centered. We get the water. That's great capture there. It's not soft. It's frozen, but it's still got some movement. Nice depth with the brick sidewalk in the foreground. Then we go up to the underneath side of the bridge, if it's a building or a bridge or parking garage, whatever way in the background. Just really nice depth of foreground, middle ground, background kind of a story. Silhouettes done nice, good blacks. Definitely a 9 on this one.
Okay, we're getting a lot of 9s and 10s here, so if we could break for a second, talk to the makers, and then we'll get finished with the last 8 or 9 images that we have. But
Absolutely.
so we need to go back to the wood. There we go. Art in Wood, which is from Oz Feniger.
Yeah, I took this in the Botanic Garden this summer. There's a new wooden bench, and this is a side branch on that log. That's the bench. The blue color is because I was in shadow, and we had a bright blue sky, so that gave the blue color. And I tried to make the contrast higher, and anyway, I liked it, and so I entered it.
I like it too. Good job, Oz. I like it.
I think we all like it. That's an excellent image. The Hogan Under the Stars. This is from John Mumford. If I remember right, John's not here this evening. He just put that this is a rock formation in Monument Valley called the Hogan.
Right. Well, good eye. I mean, all throughout just placing the arch in the bottom, it's about a third of the image, and the placement of the hole is just very well done. Just gives a little bit of movement.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Kind of makes me wonder what the whole structure looks like.
Yeah.
Those Look Yummy is from Dan Greenberg.
Yeah, thank you again, Jeff. This one was just taken in my backyard. And I, some days I just sit out there waiting. This is a hyssop that we grew specifically so it will attract hummingbirds.
Right.
And what happened is this is like, at 1/1250th of a second, ISO 2000 with a 1200 millimeter lens equivalent, so a 600 millimeter on a micro four thirds kind of thing. And so handheld
Right.
a whole bit. And then the background, believe it or not, where I lucked out on this is when I got the picture, when I looked at the picture later, I thought the background, that's just my far in the background, some, evergreen trees and my fence, but yet they were in shade. And so that's the color they kind of turned, whereas the foreground was obviously in sunlight. And so
Right.
it came out really cool like that. So, and I do a lot of square pictures, tons and tons of pictures square. I aim for it, like especially on bird pictures, I have a ton of them. So anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah. So you're looking square through your viewfinder in your mind, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, you can set it to square on, that's the nice thing about mirrorless. You can set them, usually to square.
Sure.
And,
Sure.
And think about it that way directly. So.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of the old Hasselblad days, so that's why I love the square myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, me too.
Very good. Thank you, Dan.
Mhm.
This is Very Secure from Gwen Patton. She said this was taken at Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia in September.
Well done.
Yeah, I wonder if somebody actually still uses that. It looks like it's attached to an anchor.
I hope
don't-
not.
I don't know how many
You know
people
what?
use rusty
Sorry to
old
butt
anchors.
in, but they probably do. Peggy's Cove has tons and tons of stuff like that. Old
Yeah.
boats. It's like a fabulous place to go, and they really do have tons of boats tied up with old rusty things and old rope and old fishing stuff, and they're active.
Oh, wow.
So,
Huh.
All right. Bring my own rope if I go up there.
Pink goggles. This is from Laura Blake. Let's see.
Yeah.
Laura popped in the chat here.
I want to hear about this one. This is cool.
Yeah, she says that I found the goggles at the pool in my building and saw a story there. I ran upstairs to get my camera and voila. Thank you for your kind words.
Well, and if you guys remember, there's been a couple of workshops I've done over the time about just looking for the eclectic images and just, the stuff everybody walks by. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Just to take it. Hey, it may not be a Nobel Prize winning high point scoring in a competition, but just the thought process that the photographer went through to put this together is what intrigues me. So nice job, Laura.
Yeah, something just unique and different. And
this
Holy
cracks
Matrimony
me
Batman.
up.
Yeah, this is from Kyle Derlam.
So yeah, thank you, Jeff, so much. It really,
Yeah.
the whole rail thing, I never even considered. I mean, that is such a great point. No, I didn't do it on purpose. I mean, my gosh. But it's funny because in my previous picture, 20 minutes ago, I'm all talking proudly about how I don't need eye contact and I don't go for it. And it's his eye contact with me that really makes this. So whatever. Don't listen to what I have to say or don't.
That's called do
But,
as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing about this is that I was downtown for the 420 thing. I knew I'd be able to get some shots of people being crazy, for doing whatever they do on 420 day. And this couple's going to get married. And I'm like, I think that guy's not looking at me so much as looking at, because behind me, there's like 400 people just being nuts.
Right.
You wait and get into the show and just hula hoops and craziness. So I think that he's kind of like, whether it's his daughter or his son or whatever. Anyway, you can figure it out from there. It was fun to shoot this.
Sure. Good job.
Thanks.
Are you going to tell either Oz or Cliff what 420 is?
I'm not even sure myself. It has to do with something you might buy at a dispensary. I'm not sure what that is.
Got it.
There you go.
I think it's a bag of cashews that you can get at 420 every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Fountain Lunch. This is from David Besson.
I'll start with a comment on 420. About 15 years ago, my office overlooked Civic Center Park, where there's a 420 celebration, I think most years. And looking out one April day, I saw this massive cloud of blue-gray smoke rising. My window didn't open, however. Anyway.
I was going to ask if you had a fan, you could pull it in or blow it away.
Yeah. I took this picture in downtown Boston about a month ago, and I tried a couple different angles. These two women were eating lunch, and first I was on the other side, and I got their faces, and the fountain was off to the left. But then I got behind them and tried it as a silhouette, and I really liked it much better. Avoided eye contact, obviously, as a silhouette, but it just, they were enjoying lunch and they were sitting there and not really posing for me, but certainly, they provided a good subject. So thanks for your comment.
Great story.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about this kind of image is that we build this story in our head about what was going on, what they're talking about, those kind of things.
Well, that's what I like about, I know I've talked to you guys about titling and such before in the stories, is it just, and when you give it, number one, when you give it a little bit of a story, especially like that, it lets the viewer just wander off in their own direction with a story, but it definitely pulls you in. And instead of just naming it, two people sitting by a pond at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because you'll lose the viewer's interest real quick. But if you can pull them in and give them a little bit of a story, especially if you can tie it into a story we already know, like some of these titles. So good work.
Thanks. I also called it fountain lunch because, having a lunch at a lunch counter, is also a fountain lunch. So it's kind of a,
that's true. Good call.
Thank you, David, for all the explanation, filling in the blanks. This is the transaction.
Get another nice story here of just what's happening behind these hands. Really a good composition, like I said, good story. Technically, it falls apart a little bit. It's awfully high contrast. I mean, I realize you have a really bright scene, but we've lost detail in the thumb on the left, the glove hand on the right, even the forearm, and then down in the shadows of the bundles down there, we've lost some valuable detail in the shadows. Love the story. It works well in the composition, but because of the technical things, I'm going to give it a 7.
Stained glass Santa Fe.
Nice movement here throughout the scene with the curve of the window and then the solid composition of the straight lines of the on the right and through the center of the image there. Color harmony throughout, really interesting. The blue cast from the sky on the wood, and then of course the yellow, complementary yellow cast into the stone face. And nice little story. So I'll give this an 8.
This is Tough Job.
Really nice tonal range throughout here. We get some just really nice details in all of the shades of gray here. The blacks on the bottom and the sides are, I think, very appropriate for the story. There's no details back there. Just really lets us, I'm guessing, the front end of a tractor or something like that. Yeah, good tonal range throughout the whole scene. Nice story. Yeah, I'll give this an 8. Some more look at it. It's again real nice piece of fine art. I could see hanging on some wall and in some office or something. Just really unique piece.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Another one of these which I think is a plus when it takes you just a second to put dimension on it and depth to it. And I think it's very strong. Nice exposure throughout from the shadow here of the wall around the frame here. Kind of gives us the framing of the scene with the angles pointing into it all the way down to the blue, and then the highlight coming through the window there. And there is detail on that white wall back there, and all very symmetrical except that highlight, which just really brings the whole story together here. So just more I look at, the more I like it. I think I'll give this a 10. I think it's very strong. Good catch, good capture there.
Quiet Venetian sunset.
So we have this red boat in the bottom right brings us into the scene and lets us look down. We got the side of the buildings taking us down the canal. We got the boat line taking us down. Of course, the reflections in the water are very lovely. Nice tones and colors throughout the scene. It allows us to wander around and come back. Yeah, this is another one of those, the more I look at it, the more I like this. So I'm going to give this one a 10. I think this is very deserving of a good score. Nice work.
Dune 45.
Lovely perspective. I like the wide angle feel, closest to the sand at our feet. I mean, having a really neat shape. The curve of the dune pulls us through the scene up into the clouds. The clouds are nice. Give us an 8. Guys are making it hard. They're all good.
It's the way it's supposed to be.
I know. Good to
This
see.
is Prospector.
But this fellow was full of stories. Again, good tonal range throughout here, in the black and white with a little bit of the sepia tone to it. Good additional to this kind of a, we'll say kind of an age kind of a thing from the Old West. I feel like I'm losing a little bit of detail in the dark coat of the mule on the left there and his hat. Tough ways to go because those are really dark tones. But because of what happens, like the donkey's ears, the mule's ears, we get just kind of black without any detail in it. Same with the side under the rope and such. But it's a good story. Again, the square composition really makes this work pretty well. I think I would have liked to seen the prospector and the mule just a little bit smaller in the scene. I feel like they're just a little bit too big. We're real close on the left and the ears are close at the top, minor things, but if they were a little smaller in the scene to give us just a little bit more real estate, it would have been a little more comfortable. So because of those things, I'll give them a 7.
And this is Attractive in Death.
Yeah, again, a really interesting capture of at a time when most folks wouldn't photograph leaves and things, but I love this kind of thing. It's just really unique. It's a different point of view, different perspective of storytelling. That's cool. Nice placement of the leaf. The supporting leaves all around it are just good tones, and just all they do is support, and that's what they're there for. But it keeps this guy from looking like it's floating. I mean, it's nice and sharp, good exposure throughout. Colors are nice, and I like the pulling in the title from the dying leaf here. So just everything about this is just really beautiful. It's got a nice story. I think it would be a great fine art piece. I'm gonna have to lean to that 10 number on this one.
Very good. Well, that was the last of our images. We do have a couple of folks to talk to at the end here. We have the light at the end of the tunnel, which invoked a little MC Escher kind of feel for me. This is from Terry Hanford.
This is a skylight. I'm shooting straight up into it. And I actually shot this many different days, hoping to get some nice clouds in the sky. And in the end, I just like this very plain blue sky. It was just more abstract, and I just like the lines in it.
I agree.
Hey, Terry, I know it doesn't count, but it's my favorite image of the night.
That counts, Todd.
Okay. I'll give you that $10 back.
Very nice. Well, Terry, that is an excellent image. Yeah, I like it too. Quiet Venetian Sunset. This is from Nancy Shepard. And I don't see Nancy here on Zoom. She did note, I was drawn to the reflections of color in the water in this small neighborhood of Venice.
It's funny is when you say that, when it first came up and I was looking at it, I actually held up both my hands and cropped in just inside of the red boat and the blue and white pylons there, and then the other boats, and just look at that long vertical with the reflection of the building. That's pretty cool too.
An Attractive in Death. This is Oz Feniger.
Yeah, so I took this the same day as I took the wood piece at the Botanic Gardens, and this was in shadow, in shade, so the contrast was much lower, which helps a lot to take a picture like this. I just like the shape and the colors. Thought I'd share the picture with you because I like it. And thanks for your comments.
No, nice job. It's very fine artish, we'll say.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Oz. This was an excellent image. That's all the pictures we got for tonight, folks. Jeff, thank you for all your commentary, all of your input on these images. Do you have
Absolutely.
any final words or overall commentary that you want to add to what you've already given us?
Well, it's funny, and I've said this to many other my photographer friends. We talk about helping out, working with the groups like yourself, that you guys always make it hard to judge because they're all good. Seriously, they're all always good stuff. And I like that it's creative. I like that your titles, you're pushing that envelope. So more power to you guys. Good work. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, we've had a few judges over the past few years that did made comments about the titles on the images and how important it is and how it can kind of make or break. You know, like some of the things that you said were basically that, you know, by having a good title, you're informing the viewer something about the image. You know, you're helping them to build a story about it or something like that. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
or
Yeah.
giving context to something that you might not understand what it is.
Hey, Jeff, hopefully if we just have another minute or two, I'm on Facebook with you, and I had never seen nor heard of this place that you shot recently, the lakes down in
Oh,
Texas. I'm just curious because it's somewhat coincidentally, I've seen it now 2 or 3 different places, and I'd never even heard of it.
It's on the it's the largest cypress swamp in the world, and it sits on the Texas-Louisiana border, right just at Shreveport. So we were on the Texas side, and it's something I've been wanting to try and get to for 2 or 3 years, and it's getting very popular. And I kind of gave up on a couple tours, and then a friend of mine called and said, "Hey, we got an extra spot." It is just breathtaking. It is unique. It's quiet. It's just beautiful. So we would go out in pontoon boats. We had a professional guy take us out, so there was only 6 of us on the boat, and it was absolutely stunning. We went out 3 mornings and 2 evenings, and it was just lovely. We stayed in a place, bed and breakfast right on the water. So in the middle of the day, we had just all kinds of things to shoot. So yeah, it's absolutely a stunning place. As a matter of fact, if I may, with my sole road trips, I'm in the middle of planning, and actually 3 trips down there for a year from now, next November. And I'll be posting it on the sole road trips for real soon if anybody's interested. It will be a 4-day trip. We'll come down, whichever one of the 3 trips you choose, we'll come down in the afternoon one day. The next day we'll just shoot around the area. And the next 2 days we'll have morning and evening boat rides, and then we go home on that following the 5th day. But the cost will include all your lodging, transportation. We cook our own meals in the place, so it'll include all that, plus all of the boat rides. So your only additional fee would be just getting yourself to Shreveport Airport, and we'll pick you up. So watch for that. But it's just absolutely out of this otherworldly kind of view. And man, if you haven't, however you get down there, if you can, go. And even I understand in the summer, of course, we're talking Texas, Louisiana. The summer is not a place you really want to go for the temperature. But if you go down in May, you've got the lilies. The whole swamp is just covered with these lilies, these big pink and purple flowers. And I guess that's supposed to be absolutely stunning as well. Then you got all the green trees. So yeah, so it's pretty outstanding. So thanks for mentioning that. But yeah, it's definitely worth getting there somehow. Whenever you go.
Thanks, Jeff. Good to have you back.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good to see a lot of familiar faces, and thanks for putting up with me. I appreciate that.
Anytime. So what are you doing next year?
Give me the dates.
All right.
I plan on being healthy, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm currently putting together a list of judges to contact for next year. So you may be on my list, sir.
I hope so.
All righty.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you
Yes.
all.
Yeah. Again, thank you, Jeff. Thank you to everyone who submitted this evening and who attended this evening. Appreciate it very much. Just a quick reminder to get those reservations in for the annual dinner. That PDF is in the chat if you haven't grabbed it already. I also just dropped a link to Jeff's Soul Road Trips website if you want to go hop over there and check out what he's got going on next year. To each and everyone, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you have a wonderful time this week. Spend some time with family. Get into a food coma on Thursday and recover on Friday.
Thanks, gang. Good to see y'all.
All righty.
Good enough. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. I think on that note, we shall end this evening's festivities and bid you a fond farewell. Good night, all.